We will open the meeting at 6:30. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Winchester.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Burton.
Here.
Ruth.
Here.
Collis.
Yes. Chair would make a motion to approve, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Clerk Winchester, support by Trustee Burton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. They do not require discussion by the Township Board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will automatically be moved to the last item under new business. Chair would entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion by Winchester, support by Ruth. Roll call, please.
Winchester.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Burton.
Yes.
Ruth.
Yes.
Collis.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. We have no public hearings or presentations, so we'll move on to reports. I will start with Trustee Burton.
So, as we will be discussing later, I was very excited when I found out that Haya was willing to change their day to the second Monday of the month. So that worked out very good. So looking forward to that, if all goes well, the vote tonight.
Okay. And Trustee Ruth.
Nothing for me. I was going to support or say the same thing about Haya approving the second Monday of the month for the
Okay.
new meeting time.
Clerk Winchester.
We've received our absent voter ballots. Anybody that has given an application for one will be sending them out by probably Tuesday.
You want to announce what we installed today?
And
What did we install? Oh, the ballot box.
There's a great big ballot box outside my door.
I've drawn a blank. And we did install the ballot drop box required by the state of Michigan.
So,
and how long do they have to send in the ballots?
Till election day.
So the whole
So-
time.
yeah, in Karen's defense, we've all been sitting with coats on. We've got heat trouble at the township office. So it's been pretty cold.
And, yeah.
Layers and
So
coats.
this is
and
mild then. In here.
Yeah, so, yeah, this has not been fun. Okay, Treasurer Ryan.
Nothing major. You've got the quarterly investment report. We did buy a CD this quarter, so that'll earn a little bit extra. And then any money that's not invested is at least put in our money market for extra insurance and interest. And then just in general, collecting winter taxes and people buying dog licenses.
Okay. Supervisor's report. Hang on. So the barn roof project is almost completed. The roof itself is completed. We're just waiting for, there's a gutter on the front and a gutter on the back.
No, just a gutter on the front.
Oh, just on the front to be installed? So we're waiting for the gutter on the front to be installed. That project was done by Hillman Roofing and came with a 20-year warranty. So they, I give them credit. They were up there in some of that rain and that weather, but they got her done. They also replaced some missing wood on the outside of the barn and cleaned up inside. So that project's taken care of. Oakland County Planners Gathering on Stormwater Standards is January 24th. I've got some papers if anybody's interested. It's a Zoom meeting. You can register for that. election year. Karen, you covered that. And then we have multiple cases under code enforcement that are in circuit court and in district court. And then some that are just at the infraction level. There are about 24 in the beginning of communications, letters being sent out and so forth. So that's what's going on there. From reports, we will go to public comment. Public comment on agenda items only. Members of the public can address the board on agenda items only. Once they're recognized by the supervisor, comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The board may extend this time by a majority vote. Prior to addressing the board, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record. A second public comment is available after new business for all other comments. Thank you for your cooperation. Anyone for public comment? Mr. Cornwell?
Good evening, Mark Cornwell, 12415 North Holly Road. Yeah, I just have a couple of questions regarding the budget report. I was kind of looking through the report and I was wondering where are real estate holdings considered part of our total investment portfolio, and if so, where are they located in the budget report?
In the investment report?
Yeah.
No, they're not listed on the investment report. It's just for like cash and cash invested in things like bonds and CDs and stuff.
Do we have a number on what our real estate investments are in the township?
You'll have to call during business hours for questions.
Okay.
This is public comment.
I looked at, I noticed there's some different titles from when I was on the trustee and as a planning commissioner and following these things more closely, but I noticed one of the line items now is called general office staff. And what is general office staff? Because I don't see code enforcement officer. Is that code enforcement officer now? So that total was $50,511. Is that correct? Okay. And in that same general category, you have $8,000 as for zoning administration, which I believe is still your responsibility, Karen, correct? Okay, I'm a little dismayed by going back and looking at the 2014 budget report and comparing that to the 2024 budget report and looking at capital expenditures now at $245,000 versus capital expenditure figures of about $73,000 in 14. And wages have obviously in certain areas in our board have gone up dramatically, 100% in some instances since 2014. And I'm going to touch on my other points when I get into public comment, but anyway, those are budget issues that I just wanted to mention as they were part of the consent.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Yeah, I told you it would fall under the architect proposal.
Joe Mishler, 620 Academy Road. My voice sounds a little weird. I had some surgery on Monday, so, they stick that thing down your throat. And not easy to speak. I'm here on behalf of the Holly Area Veterans Resource Center, and we have been having some discussions with the township supervisor. And we have been, I think we're about to enter our 10th year. And we've been in this building, and as you know, we have to move out of this building by June 1st. And we've been looking for different facilities. What I'd like to point out to you is that we are a very busy center. We handle a lot of different things. We have major projects that are ongoing every month. The Hometown Heroes is a very busy project. As you know, the tree right out in front of Holly Elementary has 47 ribbons on it currently. And every time somebody goes out into the service, we hold a service there, and anybody who comes home, we hold a service. And if they're going into the service, we put their ribbon and on the tree. That project was started by Jim and Ina Golden probably 5-6 years ago, as a way to honor people. We also do a vet-to-vet dinner every third Monday of the month, and we do fairly well at this vet-to-vet dinner. We've had as many as 50 people. This last Monday, when it was really cold, we only had 30, which is understandable. But we always have a speaker. We always have a lot of interesting things that take place. But it has become important. But more importantly, what we do is we help people. And you would be surprised the spread of questions we get to help people. Everything from, can you get me a color guard, honor guard, to can you help my dad, who's a veteran, but he doesn't want to go to the VA, but they need help, and families who need help. We have seen in the last 9 or 10 years, we've seen a lot of different people come through the center. As you know, if you saw on our site, we have a picture of an electric wheelchair. Those are pretty popular. They don't usually stay very long in the center because there are a lot of people that need them. And usually, if someone gets one and they get finished with it, then we get it back, and then it goes back out again. So those are some of the things we do. We have a lot of people who come in just to talk and just to maybe they're having some problems, they don't quite know what to do, so they come and they ask us. And we are a 501c3, and we have no boundaries, which is really important because we get a lot of people from all over the region. And when I say region, you can go from Lapeer to Brighton to Lake Orion to Mount Morris. So we get a lot of different people, and the reason for that, and one of the reasons we created the center, was because nobody wants to go to the big city to get help. Nobody wants to go to Pontiac, nobody wants to go to Flint, and nobody wants to go to Detroit. And we have learned that through the years. They like coming here. Lots of them end up getting a lunch or something downtown or out at one of the restaurants. So it's more than just that. Now, one of the biggest services that we offer is the Veteran Service Officer. Now, we have been lucky the last several years. We have had 2 very good service officers. They were from the Vietnam Veterans of America, and they cover quite a wide area. They don't have any boundaries either. And we are very busy, and I'm going to let Katrina come up here and explain that in a second or two. But I wanted to let you know that we are interested in the new facility out on Grange Hall Road, and we're hoping that we can be a part of that. And we just want you to know that, we're a busy place, a lot of people coming and going, and it might be great to be in with the township. So, and we're all about helping the community. So I'm going to let Katrina take over before I lose my breath. Oh, Ray?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I've been in contact with Joe since his surgery. I want to talk a little bit about service.
Start with your name and
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Ray Fenning, 11304 Eagle Road, Davisburg. Joe and I started seeing veterans in October of 14. So that's how long we've been in business. In the last year, we have had a service officer all the time. We used to have Oakland County coming in a couple times a week. Now they come in once a month. But our consistent service officer, Katrina and Bruce Freimark before, that piece of paper that I passed out in front of you, you will see that in real dollars, the claims that they have processed have netted this community, and primarily, even though we'll take them from anybody, anywhere, the majority of that $900,000 was for this community. Now, if you calculate community effect, economists would say you take that number and multiply it by 6 or 8. Oakland County has done a study, and based on veterans and the way they spend money, it's 5.3. So we're talking over 5 million. One of the numbers that isn't broken out, for example, when I got my 100%, I had a one-time payout of $69,000. Some people go over 100,000. But the big thing is I'm getting $4,500 a month. Okay, in that money is close, my scientific swag, is that we have generated $2.5 million in continually functioning money until somebody passes away. Joe was talking about busy. I purposely didn't pass this up because it has private information on it. But I want to give you, this is just Katrina now. She's going to speak here in a minute. This is 32 pages, like this, of her interface with veterans. And Katrina, in just the 6 months she's been back with us after she finished her stint at school, $532,000. She is projected by the Vietnam veterans to do $1 million. If you'll notice, the average projected amount is $615,000 per service officer. She's exceeding that, and she's very important to this community. We need a meeting place for her, or they have an alternate place currently in Fenton. So does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
What is this last third item of $8 million?
That's the total amount that Michigan, the Vietnam Veterans of America and their 13 officers, that's the amount of money that they bring into the state.
Into the state, okay.
Katrina?
All right, thank you. Start with your name and address, please.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am Katrina Kramer, was Katrina Berger until a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I am now at 11165 Horton Road, Holly, Michigan. As both of them said, I am a veteran service officer. I work for Vietnam Veterans of America. I have an office here in this building, like they had said, working right in the vet center, okay? It is incredibly busy, but also rewarding job. As they said, and I was actually pretty shocked by the numbers as well. I am quite busy, and I am bringing in quite not only is it money, I think, to the community, but it's really quality of life. Okay, so these veterans who have maybe Vietnam veterans especially been told that their service wasn't worth very much back then, right? They weren't treated very well. Now they're able to have a better quality of life because they can get benefits, and I am located there to help them get their benefits and their spouses when if someone passes. So, like, for example, you'll see at the bottom it says it's compensation. That's like disability compensation. Pension is not like you think in the civilian world of retirement pension. This is more financial aid. So those people who are going into nursing homes, who are very low on funds, this is a pension for either the veteran or the survivor. So we help with that. We help with what's called DIC and survivors. That is the money not, he said, until death. Now this is after. This is the spouses and family members, children. I just want to just touch on a couple emotional or a couple very personal ones. We have a family here in Holly. They technically live in Fenton, but they have family here in Holly. I won't disclose who they are, but the husband, he passed away at age 32 from a rare disease that they now connect to Gulf War, and he leaves behind 2 children and a wife. And I was able to help her, and she had reached out to 11 different agencies and no one would help her, and so we helped her. And not only did we get the VA to recognize his condition and his service, now her and her children, not only do the children get education benefits through college, but she gets a monthly stipend. And so it just makes a huge difference to our community. So we can talk about the dollars, and that's fine, but for me, it's more than that. It's more than that. It's helping so many people, word of mouth. And we wouldn't have that if we weren't here in Holly. As you see here, another word, it says, so some of this you might not understand. It says Katrina is the only VSO, so that's Veteran Service Officer, from the Michigan Coalition. So Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency is like the Michigan, who controls the different service office organizations in Michigan. And we are paid by grant money, and the grant money goes to Vietnam Veterans of America, American Legion, not the post, but the larger department, VFW, and DAV, Department of Disabled American Veterans. From that coalition, I am the only, we realize this, the only veteran service officer who serves Oakland County out of that whole entire coalition. So what I do here, and seeing not just Holly veterans, but Holly area veterans, is very huge. It has a huge impact. Not only in our community, they come, and they have dinner, they, get gas, they get groceries, they whatever, but just the whole entire area. So the $8 million is all of Michigan, of my organization's Vietnam Vets for America. And just in 6 months, I brought in a very decent amount of that just to our community. So I just would love for you to consider having us, the Vets Center, because, without them, we wouldn't be here, or I wouldn't be here. We would love for you to consider having them have a shared space in that new building, if possible, if that's what you so wish. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else for public comment? Joe? I can't imagine Joe wanting to have the last word.
That's because I'm a little slow tonight. I wanted to talk about how we've helped people. We have done Vietnam veterans pinnings right here in this building. We've done them out at the National Cemetery, and we have had dinners we had a veterans dinner honoring Vietnam veterans. We also had a dinner honoring younger veterans, and we do a lot of those kinds of programs because it is all about people. And when a veteran's family, and in some cases any family, comes into our center and says, "Hey, we need food." Well, we don't send them on their way and say, "Well, go someplace else." We get on the phone, we find out who's open, and we get them there. We get them that, because that's how you help your community. It doesn't matter who they are. We've also had 2 Oakland County resource fairs out here. The last resource fair they had out here, they had 196 veterans attended. And that is just above their average for some of the bigger places. That might surprise you, but they gave away food, they gave away gift cards to Myers, and I don't know what else. They did a lot of that. But I want to tell you just a couple of stories. Our very first customers, very first clients, they came in, and he had never applied for benefits, and they applied for benefits. They live right here in the area. And I don't know, it was about a month later, he came back and they came in and they were all excited because they got a claim and they got money in their pocket. And what the woman said to me was, "We want to thank you because we're no longer living paycheck to paycheck." They were retired. And so the money from the claim really helped out their lives. And one other one, there was a gentleman who lost all of his medals. And we make it a point of getting the medals. We're in the process of getting them for a local veteran. But this is a few years back, when Bishop was still a congressman. We went out and got this guy's medals, and it was expensive because he didn't have anything. And Bishop came and made a presentation. He pinned all these on this guy, and it was really very touching. And now, every Christmas since then, we get a delivery of goodies from this couple. And some of them just kind of stagger your mind, because if we're all diabetic, yeah, well, that really doesn't, but it's okay, because that's how people are. And we get people who are angry. They hate the VA, they hate the military, and all of a sudden they discover, wait, the VA can help me. It's all a matter of connecting them with the right person and getting them in the direction that they need to go in. And that's what we're all about. It doesn't matter if you need food, if you need clothing. Doesn't matter to us whatsoever, because the word is we are a resource center, and we're going to do everything we can. And the woman that she talked to you about, I got that phone call, and I was stunned when I said, "Holly Area Resource, how can I help you?" And she said, "You're really going to help me?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, okay." And then she said, "You're the 11th place I've called. No place will help us." And I'm thinking to myself, what? What kind of places are these? I didn't even want to know, because I know if she told me, I'd be on the phone talking to somebody. But it's that kind of thing. We've also helped one local person whose husband died, and he was at Nagasaki or Hiroshima as a guard. And before he died, he said, "Don't let the VA win." So here she is. She came into us. She had a stack of documents. She dropped them down on the table, and Ray and I were like, "Oh, yeah." Whew. We didn't even understand the letter. It had more laws in it than anything. And finally, Ray and I talked about it, and we got on the phone, and we got her a lawyer out in Washington, D.C., a pro bono lawyer, to help her with this case, because she was way at the top. She was at the appellate level. And we got her an attorney. Now, I don't know what the outcome of that case has been. I know it's probably still in litigation, but it's a lot of money, because you can imagine that claim goes back a ways. And but she's keeping her husband's memory alive, and she came in and she said, "I've asked a lot of people for help, and they didn't know how to help me." That's not what we're about. We're all about, you come in, we're going to do. Now, there's sometimes you can't help somebody because they're not eligible. But for the most part, we're going to get on the phone, we're going to talk to somebody, we're going to get somebody some assistance somewhere. I want to tell you one last one. There was a woman who was taking care of her husband. She was having a terrible time. She couldn't get out of the house, couldn't do anything. And we got her what was called aid and attendance, and then we got them hooked up with a social worker through the VA in Flint, and they started sending somebody out 3 or 4 days a week for, 2 or 3, 4 hours. Well, she came into the center one day and she sat down and she got herself a cup of coffee, several cookies, and she said, "I've never been able to do this." Okay, that's what it's all about. And we would like to be part of your place.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Richard Kinnaman, 4151 Stonebridge. I work in this building and know some of the things that the Veterans Center, as well as a few other organizations, do for this community. And this has been a community location for 10 years. The opportunity lies before you to continue that type of legacy that has been created in our community for organizations like the Veterans Center, like possibly the Chamber of Commerce, like WIC, all organizations or groups that are looking at being displaced here. And also working for the schools, I am trying to help some of them find locations, and I will tell you, I'm coming up pretty empty. I know you have been looking at a vision for the future of the Holly area, of Holly Township, of the community at large, with a municipal complex that can meet many of those kinds of needs and create a hub, a center for people to get services from yourself as well as some other entities in the area. And I would encourage you to think favorably about your process here. Thank you. I'm going to do a quick chamber plug. No, I'll do that one.
All right. Anyone else for public comment? None appearing. We don't have any old business. We will go to new business. And the first item there is the resignation of the HIA board member, trustee liaison, which would be Mr. Ruth. And did we already appoint him to the planning commission?
Yes.
At the last meeting. So he's already moved on to the planning commission, but we couldn't approve that at the time because we weren't sure if the date was going to be changed. So the first thing we need to do is approve his resignation. And I use the word resignation. It's actually an appointment by the supervisor, but it'll take him off the board. And then, as you'll see, number 2 will be the appointment of Mr. Trustee Burton. So number 1, I make a motion to remove Steve from the HIA board as our liaison.
Second.
Second by Treasurer Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I didn't hear Mr. Ruth vote. Now, the appointment of the new trustee liaison, which is Mr. Burton. I would make a motion to do so. Is there support? Support by Ryan. All in favor? By the way, that term ends November of 2024 because you're taking over the term he had. And then it'll be
It's by election cycle terms.
It's election cycle, yeah, so, yep. Okay, so that is, completes that part of the term. So the motion, to be clear, is to put Mr. Burton in that chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we go on to number 3, which is the architect proposal for the new township hall. You know, when we first bought this property, we had spent time looking at putting a new building on the farmstead property. And as we got involved in the engineering aspects of that, it became more and more expensive as we found out the soil conditions and as we found out what we were going to need in order to bring utilities to the building and what all of that meant. At the same time, we did the needs study that told us how many square foot we needed. And it became pretty clear that the budget was moving up into the $4.5 million range in order to get that building up there. So we started looking at other alternatives. One of those was the property across the street, which didn't pan out. And then Dawson Tire became available, and we picked that up. At that point, knowing what was going on with the schools and the fact that the village was going to have to move, we reached out to them, and for about 3 months we went back and forth, but they made the decision to move in the direction they've gone. That being said, in your packet are the concept drawings which show the village or the township. Now, we own the building as it sits there, and at this point, we've got a couple of decisions that we need to make going forward. During that process of talking to the village, several things occurred during that time period. Public comment came in. The public was looking for a community center and wanted to know if they were going to get something out of that. At the same time, the schools announced that they were moving up the date that everybody had to be out of the building by a year, which causes, and they announced that nobody would be able to join them at the old middle school until the end of 2025, which caused displacement for these groups of at least a year and a half. And as we know, the village is building their new building, and the other groups, a couple of them that are here tonight, are going to be out of space for that time period. So the proposal that's in front of us, because we never finalized exactly how we were going to use the building, allows us to look at that and see if it's feasible for the township to move forward and create space for these groups, create space for a possible community center, or if due to financial restraints, if we need to look solely at just being in the building that exists. This proposal allows us to do three things. We also need to look at this property as a whole. The concept drawings that are in front of you, they don't reflect the entire parcel. And I did bring those pictures. If you pass that down to Derek. If anybody wants to see them, I have a couple of extra copies. Pass that down to Steve. But that's the entire parcel. You'll see it goes back further than even what the concept drawings show. But this contract with AKA talks about allowing us, it's $125 an hour, but it'll allow us to look at those groups that we know are interested in being there, or do we just go in by ourselves? At the same time, we need to be looking at a master plan, if you will, for the use of the property. And at the same time, we need to choose, I'm not sure the term I want here, but an architectural designation for what we want buildings to look like and what we want it to look like in the future. But that's the contract that's in front of us tonight. Anyone else care to comment?
I certainly support the groups that I believe that they're talking about here, and I know the community does, so that makes it really hard for me to take the position I'm going to take right now is I believe that we cannot expend public money, taxpayers' money, for private entities, and that's what this would be doing. I know they're 501c3s or what they're nonprofits, but it's private. I think we do have financial constraints about creating space for all these entities, because you can't pick and choose. Who are you going to decide you're going to take? In addition, I think if we're going to do a community center and have spaces for these people, then we should be doing maybe town hall meetings, get input from the public. If they're ready to pay for something like that, then I think then it would be time. But we definitely need a master plan. We need to talk about this as a township board as well. We've lost months trying to accommodate the village. We lost, quite a bit of the budget on our last proposal because we were using the money for accommodating the village, not doing what would accommodate Holly Township.
Right.
I just don't
I
think
agree
we're
that I
even
think-
close to being ready to be creating space for other,
Well, I agree with the public hearing side of that. I think that's good. I think in order to have that public hearing, because there are so many questions that are generated, I think we at least have to take a look and say, there's kind of two options. If we created space, what would that look like? What would contracts look like? These groups have money on their own to help do the build-out, if you will, or the remodel, whatever word you want to use. And at the same time, what does it look like totally for the township? The one thing we do know is that the front area of the building, which was a part of the addition, is pretty much office space as it sits right now. It's a pretty wide open room, but it wouldn't take much to put things together. Then there are there are 2 bays in the middle, which was the original fire hall. And then there's the storage area on the back of the building, which is another 3,000 plus square feet, and to look at using that. But I think in order for the board to have these discussions and to be able to make the decision as to a direction, I think we need to push forward just a little bit more on that concept and be able to look at that and be able to look at what kind of numbers those are. And at the same time, talk about master plan for the property and pick an architectural style or design that we want to go forward with at the same time. But that's what this contract does. They had sent a contract to us earlier for more money, but I don't feel we were ready to go there. They were wanting to actually do material list and so on, when we haven't made some of the other decisions, because quite frankly, we were waiting to see if the village was going to join us or not. And unfortunately, we went through several months of lists of concerns, and we overcame all of their concerns, but ultimately, they chose a different direction. So,
what about the fact that we would be spending public money for private purposes?
well,
I mean, we can't do that.
so we would have to look at what it would cost to consider those entities and see if those entities are willing to pay a portion of that fee.
I think we need a workshop with the board to see and talk about it, because we know about how much it would cost per square foot to create space for us or anyone.
Other board members?
I had just some specific questions on the layout right now of the renovated existing building, the first one. But is that appropriate to talk about that now?
I would say workshop would be better. I don't know
Yeah.
if we're really, it's been a long time since we've looked at these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this started.
And it's not really even done. We got off on
Right.
accommodating the village, so I don't believe that the drawings are really even done.
No, they're not. They're designed to show what would have happened if the village came. That's why we need to kind of move now forward.
I would definitely like to see some kind of public hearing and get public feedback. If we would have a workshop, I would love to have either ahead of time have legal information about whether or not we can spend the money in that way, or have someone legal there. I mean, obviously, if we could just get the information ahead of time, cheaper
Right,
than
yeah,
having a
the-
lawyer at the meeting, but.
Right, the schools, I mean, they didn't create the space, they had the space, and they have the space coming up in the future.
I definitely think we bought a lot of land, and it would be nice to see it
A
used for
complex,
something, right?
Yep.
But that would be a master plan, and then, you know, phase everything.
Yep.
Because I don't believe that we have the kind of funding that it takes to do that, so then we're talking loans and,
So do we want to move, Mr. Burton?
I mean, I'll just wait if we're gonna be meeting on this again to get maybe more of a clear understanding of.
we're,
So do
What it is.
we want to move forward by scheduling a workshop?
That's fine, yeah.
Everybody agrees on that?
Yep.
Then we wouldn't be taking any action on this tonight,
Okay.
but we would be moving toward that. Okay? Everybody's in agreement? Okay. Do we want to set that date now, or do we want to take some time to project that date? Might need to do a little homework first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then. That brings us to the final public comment. Anyone for a last? Mr. Cornwell.
Mark Cornwell, Holly Township, 12415 North Holly Road. I've been here in the community for 36 years. I guess that's probably, I'm a relative newcomer by some standards, right? 16 of those years I served as on the seat, 4 years as a trustee and 12 years as a planning commissioner. And I'm here tonight because I'm really disappointed. I'm disappointed in all these years, I've seen nothing change. I see the same problems over and over and over again. Same mistakes being made. You know, in fact, I really had a glimmer of hope that maybe we were going to get our act together and figure out a way to work with the village and develop some kind of a community center, and where we could have our meeting facilities together, we could take care of these folks' needs, and we could take care of other folks' needs, all in the same building. But no, we can't get along. It's just kind of like a microcosm of what's going on in the whole country. We can't figure out how to get along and get things done. And it's just disgusting. I'm fed up with it. So when I hear now that the village is going to site their facility over in the what is it? Isn't it
Cyclone.
a Cyclone Park, but it isn't also kind of a floodplain? Good question.
It's low.
Well, at any rate, you know, it's like we've lost another opportunity here.
We tried.
I know you tried, but maybe we're just not trying hard enough.
Well, we overcame every objective they had.
It's disappointing. It's very disappointing. And, you know, we're just spending lots of money, and you know, I am happy to hear that you're going to reconsider what you're doing out here at this property, because, in my opinion, there was a horrible lack of foresight on what you were doing out on the farmstead in siting that facility there in the first place. First, it was going to be a fire hall, and then, you know, we bought the property, and then let's figure out what we can do with it. That's not a good answer. So, at any rate, I'm happy to hear you're gonna have a workshop. Is that gonna be a public workshop then, and
Yes.
you're gonna have
Yep.
public input? Okay. Is it all a done deal now? I mean, is there no other options that we can explore?
For what?
Can we get the village to reconsider? Is there?
I don't think so. They're all in. If you've seen their building, they're well on their way.
Okay.
In fact,
That's all I have.
they've moved on from that to looking at cityhood.
I heard.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's the third time for that.
Okay. Anyone else for public comment? Mary?
Mary Blanchard, 3444 Old Creek Drive, Holly, Michigan. I had an online meeting today with 2 staff members of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. They have agreed to come to Holly, Michigan on February 15th, Thursday, from 6 until 7 p.m. to discuss the Eat Safe Fish Guide and explain the fish contamination levels for Bush and Rice Lake. The place will be confirmed shortly.
Did you say February 15?
15th, Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. The Save Falk Road Committee would appreciate Holly Township to publicize this event in Holly by a state agency. I appreciate the roof work on the Holly Barn at the Holly Heritage Farmstead, but I am concerned about the timbers that are now being left exposed to the elements for the barn waiting to be constructed. Are there any plans to at least cover those?
So actually, the construction's going to be able to move forward. The biggest problem has been the weather. They haven't been able to get on the ground without sinking. Now that it's frozen, once the temperature warms up a little so that a person can be out there, they're going to be able to move ahead much more rapidly than they have.
Okay, great.
So they've been waiting for frozen ground so they can get on it without sinking.
Good. Thank you very much.
Anyone else for public comment? None appearing? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you get up.
I said I was saving something for the end.
Okay.
Yep. Speaking as the director of the Holly Area Chamber of Commerce, in a week, we have our annual dinner taking place at the Holly Vault, at Venue 111, owned by the Vault Collection. We have selected our honorees for this year, and it will be a very, very good evening. I encourage all of you to get your tickets. Registration closes on Friday, so.
We just gave you ours.
Yep, I got yours. All of you can register online yet on the Chamber website, and come be a part of a great evening celebrating good business and good people in Holly. Thank you.
Bill?
Yes, hi, Bill DeSenza, 5100 East Holly Road. We heard some great things tonight from a lot of great groups, veterans groups, Chamber of Commerce. I think they've kind of made the case for to be over there at this new facility. Karen, I understand you raised some great points yourself, but I also applaud the transparency that I'm seeing here moving forward with these hearings and looking at from that standpoint. I do think it's important to keep the momentum going on this project. You guys went in on this to begin with, and to turn back now, I think might be a mistake. So I just hope that hearings are important, get the public input, but let's try to find a way to keep this thing moving forward.
All right. Anyone else for public comment? I'll turn to the board. Does anybody have any closing remarks? I just have one. I want to thank you people. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 public members on a night when it's damn cold outside. So I give you all credit for coming out and being a part of this. That being said, I will call the meeting to an end at 7:23.